but I feel I need to make this video. It's on my heart. It's more than just chapter 10 of Circe, which, I mean, if I had to put a title to chapter 10 of Circe is, ew, disgusting, right? It made me feel gross. Just the physicality of it, the spirituality of it, the energetic, just blah feeling you get from chapter 10. But at the same time, it's really a great chapter for the book as a whole, because it paints a picture, and it also, which I love about books, makes us go inside and ask ourselves, how do I differ from this? I think about Prometheus. All gods need not be the same. If there's something in these gods and goddesses and mortals and stories that you don't like, you don't have to be like it. And that's what got me thinking, and what I want to touch on first, because you've noticed people that have been, say, like molested as a child, they a lot of times end up becoming molesters, right? People that are abused become abusers. And so I think if we would just be aware of that, and you kind of see this with Circe here. She is enjoying now when she sees people cower at her commands, right? She's kind of gets like oh, I like that, right? And here she was abused. She didn't like the chain of fear, but now she's getting a taste of it, and she kind of likes it. She kind of likes it when they shake at her voice. They jump at her commands. And you know what? I've experienced this myself. I didn't like being treated that way, being abused. But I think we all get an opportunity at one time in our lives where you're put in a place of power, and then you get to make that choice. And I mean, you see it like on cooking shows. I'm thinking, my God, this guy's a chef. He's acting like he's Zeus, right? Just cussing at his sous chefs and just like ruling the kitchen like a tyrant, right? I caught myself a few times as a boat captain. Now that I'm older and think back, I think, how silly of me. Just mad with power, right? But you see it in any field, right? It can be a doctor. It can be anyone, and I think of businessmen like out by the pool yelling into their cell phone, and they like their spouse listening like they're a man of power, right? And just, but it comes to a point, and at least I hope it comes to a point, where you see that you're hurting someone. That same injustice that was done to you, is it innocent? Where it started to taint you, to soil you, to kind of dim your light that you had as a child, that you felt was wrong. Hopefully you catch yourself as you're doing that to someone else, and you feel it breaking in them. And I hope it breaks your heart. It doesn't all. Some people, they'll go the rest of their lives with it, and they'll justify it or just not think too much about it. They just like that they're not the one being abused, they're the abuser, right? They got kind of that mentality, do unto others before they do unto you. And the survival of the fittest, and it makes an ugly world. I'm imagining if you're on this channel, you're not one of those people. You may have tasted it, right? Some of it might not even be your fault. Right? You had to turn into a monster to fucking survive. I get it. But I hope you get to a point where you find a better way, a higher way, right? That works. This chapter, oh my gosh, so powerful. But I want to talk about something else real quick. Witchcraft. I want to talk about black magic. I want to talk about sorcery, because I'm fascinated with magic. Always have been since I was a child. I've read in some of the comments, and I'm thinking, am I being a bad influence? That's not what I'm intending to do here. So I want to give a little caveat, a little warning. I am fascinated with magic, but a certain kind of magic. I've played with witchcraft and sorcery. It did not work well for me. It was terrifying for me. I've seen things, and now I don't want to just be preachy and teachy. I'm going to share some fun stories with you. Do you guys know I grew up in a haunted house? I'll share some of those stories with you. But I don't want to glamorize magic and witchcraft. If you spend so much time in it, right, and it can even start out kind of positive. You know what it reminds me of is like drugs, right? A lot of people, they started out and they're all, this is amazing. Why haven't I been doing this my whole life, all the wasted years, right? And then somehow they end up out behind Home Depot giving a blowjob for money to get crack. And they're like, how did I get here, right? Sorcery, witchcraft can be a lot like that. You'll kind of go to a dark place because you're wanting more and more, and you're reaching, but you're not really grabbing. And so you're thinking, well, I must need to do this, and you can get yourself in a pit of despair. So with witchcraft, I feel my heart was in the right place. I want to make the world a better place. I want to end suffering. Some of the measures I was using weren't working. So I started playing around with witchcraft, thinking, well, maybe, I've been lied to in a bunch of other areas. Maybe I was lied to about some of these things. And I worked with pentagrams and candles and herbs and summoning spirits. A huge mistake I made is summoning any spirit that would come to help me. That's a big mistake, guys. Oh my God. I ignored a lot of the rules that I was told to make sure you follow because I had no fear of it, because living in a certain way, there's a natural hedge of protection around you. And it can't be broken unless you open it up, you invite those entities in, you're safe. A lot of people, a lot of the suffering they have, it's just because they have no wards around them. They have no protection around them. They have no light around them to keep out the darkness. They don't know any better, right? I opened myself up to just an ass kicking. It was terrifying. And it was shocking to me because I wasn't used to being terrified like that. And it lasted a couple months, and I had to do a lot of work and like self-exorcism, right? To get myself back clean again. I had to close a lot of doors. I had to do a lot of energy work. I would never touch it again. I've seen things with witchcraft, especially because this is a spiritual channel. It's a book channel. It's a spiritual channel. Books are energy. Everything's spiritual. Everything's energy. Stories are spiritual. I've had people, followers, and not all of them were bad. Some were bad, especially with a name like Magus that I put out there that draws all kinds of people checking it out. I've had people send bad things my way. Not a problem. I knew, I could see, what they were doing. I could sense it. But the one that got through, again, because I let it, but one of the followers, he sent, I don't know what you'd call him, maybe like succubus, maybe something along those lines. And anyway, one night, I won't go into all the details, but wow. But I'm going to use the word succubus because it's closest I can kind of wrap my mind around to it. They did not like me at all. And so then the next day in the comments, this follower, I would have called him a friend at the time. I don't know. He later came and told me that he was an infiltrator. He was not a part of what I was doing. But somehow we kind of made a friendship, I think, because even when someone comes every day, even though they're against you, they start to like you a little bit. You form a little bit of a bond in a friendship, and you're talking, and he kind of saw my heart, made him dislike me less. You know what I mean? So we made kind of a friendship. But I remember after that really strange night, of those succubuses that did not like me. He said, "So, what did you think about?" And he said their names. I got their names. He described them, and he sent them to me, and I told him, I go, they didn't like me at all. And he went into such detail, and he said that he actually made them up, except for one of them, and then sent them to me. And a couple of things. One, I was fascinated. I was like, wow, I don't know how to do that. So I'm a little in awe, that his knowledge is more than mine in that area. Secondly, I was a little terrified that they got past my ward, especially if they're not Team Magus, right? If they're not, usually they can't get past that. And so I am trying to get all the information out of them that I can without also saying, boy, I feel a little helpless here. I didn't want to show my vulnerability in that area. I've grown and learned since then, so now I feel a little more comfortable talking about it. But it just blew me away, some of the things that are possible, some of the things I've seen. And speaking of that, we will get to chapter 10 here. If you're into this, you're into this. I know of the few that'll stay here for this, that it's interesting to them. But I grew up in a haunted house. And I was just a little kid. My mom had to tell me these stories, so I was too young to really know at the time what was being said. But when they were buying our house, it was an old, I don't even know what you call it. It was like white house, black shutters. I loved the house itself. But there was, so there's me and my mom and my dad. And so the dads were off talking price and numbers. The moms were in the kitchen with us kids talking. And the other little kid said, "Mom, aren't you going to tell them?" And my mom's telling me, the other mom got really upset. Like, shh, stop it. And she goes, so mom's all, "Well, tell us what? Now you can't just turn it off." She goes, "Well, I don't know if you believe in this stuff or not, but the house is haunted," right? Mom's not too sure about this stuff, kind of just, she saw real fear, but she kind of just blew it off. Well, we get moved in, and of course they like my room, the ghost. Mom said that she would be in the other room and she'd hear a rocking sound, like there's a rocking chair next to my crib. And she'd walk in and the rocking chair would be next to my crib, just rocking, like someone's just sitting there rocking it. Things like the TV would just turn on. You'd be sitting there listening to music and the volume would just go all the way up as loud as it would go. Matter of fact, one time, I was older by this time, I think it was junior high, if I remember right, talking to one of my friends on the phone. My friend, he was scared to come sleep at my house because all the weird stuff and stories. And my parents were gone to a business meeting. I'm home alone. He's all, "Aren't you scared being there home all alone with all the weird things that happen?" And right as he said that, I was sitting there listening to the radio. The dial went all the way up to 10, as loud as it would go. And, just crazy stuff. My babysitters, we couldn't keep babysitters because too much weird stuff happening. And I remember I was telling her about how we had a music room with drums, horns, guitars. My dad was a musician. And how the pianos, they would just play themselves, right? And we were down in the den, the upstairs music room, the drums, and the guitar, dring, dring, freaked her out. She grabbed me, ran me out to her car. We sat all night out in the street in her car till my parents got home, and she never came back. We had an exorcism of the house. Can't remember if I told this story. Baptist preacher that is now my uncle, by the way, which is funny. My other uncle died, and she ended up marrying our Baptist preacher that has one of the largest Baptist churches in Southern California. He came to do an exorcism type deal. It didn't do anything. His power was a little weak. His heart's good though. I do like the guy. Where am I going with this? It gets me just thinking, I don't want you to play with that stuff. I still have tarot cards. There's other tools I won't use. And I do believe it's not so much about the tools, but the spirits that you connect to the energies. And I've learned to make sure, like, I don't even connect to, like, the gods of the Bible or the Qurans or any mixed gods, any god that can love and hate. You guys have heard this a million times, that can war, kill men, women, and children. If their energy isn't pure, I don't even let them in. I've talked about this. I'm an energy snob, and people think, well, isn't Jehovah's and the Bible the highest you can go? No, it's not. Those are mixed energies. A lot of stories that aren't good. They'll keep you in confusion, can actually invite things in. I used to work in the ministry, and people, after they went down front and got saved, as they call it, they sure didn't feel safe. And they would actually say things like, my life has gotten worse, right? My life is falling apart. I'm getting attacked now by demons that never happened before. And so we are told to tell them, well, it's just because now you're so holy that you are attracting the attention of the demons now, right? Now you're an enemy of the devil and demons. That's why they have access to you now. Like, you're a blinking red light, and so now they're focused on you. Or is it, now that I'm a little older and wiser, is it because you invited a god into you, a spirit and energy that gets angry, jealous, hate, war, kill men, women, and children, stone children when they're disrespectful, kill babies, but keep sex slaves, animal sacrifices, blood sacrifices, go in and wipe out whole countries, women, children, babies? Is it maybe because you took that spirit into you that now you're experiencing that? And even though they call it good, right? They got some teachings like don't smoke, don't say the F word, but what energy are you really holding? What God, what spirit? Very confusing. One thing about, which I'll get into later, the religion that I found, it's unmixed. And that's what has now put that shield of protection around me that is impenetrable. As a matter of fact, I've had people that were what you would call infiltrators. I don't like talking about this stuff because I don't want to scare you. And it can be scary, especially if you're on the outside and you don't have these words like, Magus, you're freaking me out. Don't be scared, but make a choice. Either stay away from this stuff altogether, or make a choice to become the light that darkness cannot enter, to become the pure love that hate, fear, greed, war, evil spirits, mixed spirits, confusion, depression can't enter, right? You got to make those choices. So the gist of this is because Circe is kick ass. I've always been attracted to witches, and magic and stuff. But a lot of this also, like I was talking about yesterday, is fictitious stories. There is a way to play with magic, and you can have spirit guides, but you can get into the wrong ones. And, even with what you would call angels, here's a hard lesson I had with this one. I was in Bible college. Or was I out of Bible college at this time? I can't remember. No, I think I was still in Bible college. And I remember calling, let me put it this way, I was very protective of my children. And we were in kind of a bad part of town, and so I'm worried about, is there hypodermic needles in the grass, for one? I'm worried there's a street going along the side of this little grassy area. We're outside of a church, in a bad area. And I was just thinking, I don't want to put my kid down. I just kind of had that feeling. But then I also had this other thing, like, don't be fearful, right? Call on your angels to protect your children. So I called on the angels to protect my child. I sat him down. Wasn't 10 seconds later, there's this whole grass area. He runs over and trips right at the perfect spot where he could fall and hit the sidewalk where it was raised and split his head open. Within 10 seconds, I called on the angels. And I'll tell you what it gets me thinking about. I start thinking about these angels. Are these the angels that went in and killed the firstborn son? Are these the angels that led armies in to kill men, women, and children? I started thinking, just when something like that happens, you're like, what the fuck? I'm mad as hell. I went against what I was feeling inside. Hold my baby up. And I tried to go along with some of this church teaching, and it fell apart quick, which I'm glad it did. Because if at any time those church teachings would have worked, I feel like Spirit wouldn't he knew I was going to be the Magus one day, that my goal is to bring back the pure religion. And every time I prayed according to their way, it didn't work. And I don't think it was meant to work, because I don't think I would have been pushed to the brink. Because when you finally hit rock bottom, then you're willing to put your ideas, your stories, your gods, your books down and say, all right, is there something better? I'm willing to, set down everything I was told. And if there's a better God, a gooder God, a truer God, and I'm just being stubborn, I'm just repeating what I was told, right? I'm going to humble myself and say, gooder God, reveal yourself to me. And oh my God, did he ever, in the most perfect way. Think about this, guys. I didn't know that a God existed that I was looking for, that I wanted, that was just good, right? That didn't get angry, jealous, hate, war, kill men, women, and children. His books didn't have stories that made you feel sick inside and think, that doesn't sound God, that doesn't sound good. And come to find out, it's the original monotheistic religion that the others branched off of and changed. And then on top of it, it's the Magi, because those of you that know me, know the vision I had, the voice I heard that said, you're going to get rid of everything, lose everything, but hold on to Jesus. This is the only religion I could have done that with, because it's the Magi, right? It said when the Jewish people heard the Messiah was born, they were afraid. The Magi came and worshiped him. So I was able to hold on to Jesus, be a Magi, be a Zoroastrian, and have the all-good God, and create the life I was looking for. But I had to set down my ideas. A lot of people I've made friends with in this channel over the many years, some are still here, some aren't, that came from Satanism and the occult and what you'd call the darker practices and arts. A lot of the reason they went into that, because they were so mad at the hypocrisy and the blatant bad that was in the world religions that they were brought up in. Right? In Judaism, in the Christianity, in Islam, that they saw this God that wasn't presenting the highest principle of good. And it's obvious. And they're so frustrated as they're trying to show people this, that they would just go blank, like they can't hear you, can't see you. And that's what pushed them into some of those, what you'd call dark arts, I guess, dark religions. Not so much that they wanted to do or be evil, but they just wanted to get away from that. And they didn't know, Zoroastrianism exists. You can get away from that, but go to something better, something that loves you and wants the best for you, that's not going to take you down a dark hole. And the thing with magic, again, like I was saying with drugs, you want more of it. Right? You see it sure you experience it. What I see here, because I've gotten into the YouTube and social media, you want more likes, you want more views. If I was a woman, I'd probably show my breast, to get more views on my channel and get those likes. I don't know what it is, but we want that. We want that recognition. And so in chapter 10, it got me thinking of Pasiphae, right? She is willing to have intercourse with a bull to create a monster to get attention, because her brothers and sisters were getting all the attention and she felt left behind. No one remembered her. Well, she said, well, they'll remember me now, right? The one who birthed a monster, right? And so we want to be recognized. We want to be celebrated. We want to be seen and heard. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but what's your message? You know, and God, my heart breaks for women. Matter of fact, I bet we're 25 minutes into it. I'm guessing there's only 2 women that I can think of that are still here watching me. Probably Catherine and Kiva. If there's anyone else, tell me. Say, Magus, I'm here also. But I think they're the only ones listening to me. But my heart broke for women as I'm reading about Circe here. I'm reading about Pasiphae, because they have a higher standard than men. I can be just a savage animal living out here in the woods, and but women, they're held to a higher standard, aren't they? With beauty. And then also there's something that you could guys probably tell me. Do you feel this? Am I missing this? But I feel like they want to be seen more. Just from what I have very limited experience with it. I was married for 12 years. I had girlfriends. I've been single now for a long time. But something I felt with them is they really want to be seen. It reminds me of Pasiphae. They want to stand out. They want the latest fashion. They want to, I don't know, they want to shine. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's so hard to shine. And my God, I see it on the internet. I mean, it goes to a low-cut blouse, then pretty soon like a nip slip, and the next thing they're showing their buttholes on the internet. It's like, what do you have to do these days why did I have to go there? But is that true? What do you have to do to be seen? And we all desire that. It breaks my heart, makes me sad, So I got so much from chapter 10 today. One, Circe's journey, and it's just beginning. I've read this book, obviously, several times. She's just kind of seeing the fear in the mortal's eyes, seeing him jump, snap to, and she's kind of liking it. Circumstances are coming to her that are going to push her down even more. And it got me thinking I remember in school, there was this nice kid, little backwards, shy, little weird, honestly, but he kept to himself. But he got picked on, and one day he just snapped, and he was just punching and kicking and just went crazy. But then he's just crying, and I kind of sensed the reason he was crying is because they pushed him to that. He just wanted to be left alone, and they made him into something he didn't want to do or be. And so now he's getting in trouble with a teacher, and he's crying. It's unjust. It's not, he's thinking it's not my fault. They're telling him it is your fault. You're in control of your actions. But, as one standing back, seeing the whole thing take place, don't think I said anything, because I think that was like fifth, sixth grade or something. I don't know what, I can't remember, but I'm just kind of taking it all, registering. I'm not a teacher, at this time. I'm a learner. I'm watching. And that just always stuck with me, and how the outside world can change you. And so I think that's why you see my heart now is I'm always teaching, don't let the darkness in the world dim your light, beautiful, shining one. Well, that's easier said than done, Magus. I know, I've been dimmed a few times. Circe is getting dimmed here, and it's going to continue for a bit. But learn from it, grow from it, do better, and then help people. Don't make other people, don't ruin other innocence. Don't be a dark force. You will make some mistakes. You will harm people. I think back, the things I lose sleep over, and they're so vivid to me this day. The people that I hurt, either verbally or physically, that didn't deserve it. Right? It was just my own hurt, my own prejudice, my own hate, my own anger, my own frustration, my own liking that I'm being the attacker and not the attacked. It still haunts me. And I know we have to forgive ourselves. And I try, but I think also it always kind of stays in the back of your mind so you don't do it again. So maybe I remember it vividly so maybe there's some young man or lady watching me right now that can kind of learn from it. Witchcraft, sorcery, don't play with it, guys, please. There is like magi magic that you can work in. There's good magic. There's white magic. Stay in the white, stay in the light, stay in the good spirits. And all of life really is spiritual. It's when you're thinking good things or bad things at someone, you're performing either white or black magic. You're sending them health or you're sending them disease. You're sending them peace of mind or you're sending them distress, just with your own thoughts. Because again, we've talked about this, our minds are our superpower and they have a lot of power, and so, and how much do I want to touch on this? I'm going to leave it there on that. I do want to talk about drugs. It's a lot like witchcraft. It's a lot like, well, I understand the good about drugs. I've seen it with my own eyes. There was a young man, people, once they learn that you are a spiritual teacher, they will find you out. It's amazing. It's weird. I've had people just walk up to me and start just pouring out their hearts, but there's this one young gentleman, teenager, I met him. His dad introduced me to him. He was hoping I could kind of get some positivity into him, some goodness into him. He's just going down a bad track. He was just unpleasant to say, just put it that way. Angry, treated me like I was just an idiot, I get a call months later and he says, I need to come talk to you. Didn't even sound like the same kid on the phone. I'm all right, come on out. He comes out. This is a different kid in front of me. He was playing with some, I don't even know the different drugs, but some kind of hallucinogen that people are using for spiritual awakening. It worked for him. And I couldn't deny it. I said, my goodness, the transformation was amazing. And now it's so cute. When you have a spiritual experience and you're trying to explain it to someone, you sound insane, right? It's like they saw the color blue for the first time. They're all, dude, right? The color blue, right? And they've gone to this place where they heard the song of the color blue. They saw the makeup of the color blue. They saw the spirit behind the color blue. They saw the mathematic equations. They saw the mind behind. They're like tripping blue, dude, And if you haven't experienced it, you're just going, yeah. Because you're just thinking from your mind, you're thinking, yeah, the color blue, right? You know what I'm saying? He was at this place, so excited. And I get it. I've had those experiences, not with drugs. And so now I'm trying to be a father to him. I'm saying, I know exactly what you're experiencing, but I've also done this. I've been to Samadhi. People dream of having Samadhi. Been there. It's good, right? You can do it, though. Meditation, breath work, attuning yourself. Do not get trapped. I know you're high on drugs right now. Right? He's ready to just bow down and worship. I get it. It'll take you down a bad track. There's another young gentleman that used to come out. He got into heroin. He is not a spiritually enlightened person. He threw his life away. His teeth fell out of his mouth. He was such a sharp young man, and now it's just like the brain, and it's gone, and it doesn't come back. And so I'm giving them these warnings, right? Because at my age, I've had friends, right, got off into drugs. It doesn't go well, okay? You experienced it. Matter of fact, I think back about like the Greeks, they used to have a ceremony, but you could only do it once, right? The Magi had a ceremony with the Homa plant. Zoroaster put an end to that. It's something, yeah. I wouldn't do it myself because there's a better way, which I started teaching him through breathing and meditation and attunement. But so those of you listening to me, because I mean, there's some really a lot cooler than me people. I see them on YouTube. They got huge channels, beautiful wives, great lifestyle, muscular, and they're just really pushing the drug thing, but they're still young, and they're going to see you. Now he's talking about, there was one of them that he got so enlightened that now he's sharing his wife sexually with other people's. That's the drugs, my friends. And when he comes off the drugs, he's going to hate himself for that. He's going to think if they even stay together, it's going to haunt him. It's going to be one of those things. Oh, and then he'll be one of those guys the rest of his life trying to tell people, don't fall in the drug trap, right? So I hope I'm catching someone early here. Stay away from witchcraft, black magic, drugs, and even the world religions. Now, they can be a step up, right? You see this, like people that are in prison for rape, and they have no moral conscience or compass, and then they get one of the world religions. It's a step up. It's better, right? Because at least they're knowing now they got a rule book telling them, even when they want to go knock out a chick in the park and rape her, they got the book saying, oh no, don't do that. That's not who you are anymore. And it starts to create new habits, new neural pathways. They got for the first time an idea of a higher, right, a God, is someone to answer to. And so even the fear works for that, right? They're thinking, oh, I'm going to go get wasted and do this and that. And they're thinking, oh, I don't want to go to hell, right? I don't want that Jehovah mad at me, or that Allah mad at me, that stone their children when they're disrespectful. So it can work for certain levels, right? I would suggest though, start with the best. Just go to the top, right? And for me, it's Asha. It's the all good spirit. It's a God that's all good. Zoroaster means pure starlight, undefiled, undiluted, unmixed, not the love and the hate, peace and the war. Just a good God, good spirit. And I found that when I took that into me, for the first time, it really made a difference. It really brought me peace, where before I was just saying my affirmations, right? Saying things that I was told to say, but that wasn't working. Then they say, well, now you just stand on faith. But I wasn't feeling it. I wanted to feel it, see it, experience it, right? Well, you'll get that when you die and go to heaven. That's a whole nother conversation. I want to feel it now. I want to experience it now. I did as I took in that all good spirit. And then all of it was reasonable and made sense. Now I could truly believe why the only thing that could come from a perfect creator's perfect mind is perfection, is good. Right? Any loving parent would know that and create that for their kids. Right? That's Asha. That's heaven on earth. That's the truth. That's the real. I can go inside. There's a book written that I can attune myself to that word, those words, that frequency. And as I hold that, right, now that puts that light around me, darkness cannot enter, puts that love that hate, fear, greed, violence, people that are saying they're my friends but are really infiltrators, they can't hurt me anymore, right? And now you can put yourself out there more. You can live more freely. It's a good place to be. And you can love those people. Like I was talking about, I've had a couple of those people that actually came to me and said, admitted, yeah, Magus, I infiltrated your channel for all those years. And I knew it. He saw me, I saw him. I do have giftings. And so I knew, but I was able to just love them, right? And embrace them and understand them I know why you went to the dark side. I get it. You're hurt. You're frustrated. You're sad. You're pissed fucking off. I get it. There's a better way, a good way. And that's what I want. No one left behind. Even those spirits I don't fully understand, I don't want even them left behind. Not that they've been put into some kind of being, some kind of energy force. I want them to be transmuted, to have a hope in the future and good for the future. I don't want anyone left behind. No spirits, no gods. I want everyone to be happy, joyful, peaceful, loving. And then, well, Magus, what about those entities? And I've only run across two, my friends, that are so foul, I don't see salvation for them. I've met two people, come across two people in my 53 years that they weren't even mixed. Like most people you come across, they're good and bad, love and hate, peace and war. They were just pure evil. Two people. And so what about the spirits behind that? Those kind of people. Well, I don't want them to suffer. I would never put hell or suffering on them. But what happens is they just won't be able to enter this atmosphere. It'll be their choice by their frequency. They won't be able to come in. They won't be able to torment us or torture us or harm us in any way. They'll live out in that outer darkness that they created, that hell, that torment, that torture, that evil. They'll live out in that frequency that they put themselves in tune with. Not that there's a God that is sending them to punishment, right? That's just the atmosphere, the environment that they've created, that they're in match with, they're in resonance for. The only place they can go, whatever resonance you're holding, right? You'll be sucked in to that place, or that, Asha talks about that in Zoroaster's Gathas, right? Asha said, I would have rushed to, if there was just one person attuned with me, right? If one person would have held truth and love and kindness and goodness, Asha, it's just law. They come together, right? But as people are holding hate and violence, right? They're actually repelling Asha, repelling good, repelling truth. Does this make sense? Who's with me? This is the longest video I've made in a long time. We're 42 minutes into it. Please do me a favor. Say, Magus, I'm in here. It's 42 minutes. Still here. Just so I know, are these videos worth making? Is there one person left? And I do believe, even if there's not one person here, and I'm talking myself raw, I believe this energy, my voice still goes out to that collective conscious, right? That the mind is hearing it. When you speak truth, it puts that truth in the air, in the ether, right? And even though someone might not be physically hearing it, they're going to hear it in here because it's out there now. That's truth. That's what's real. So somehow that was Circe 10. I don't know. We went to haunted houses and drugs and everything. But that's just what I got from that. That's what I was thinking about. A lot of times I think it's because I'm thinking about my wonderful friends. People are listening to me. Sometimes I get wound up and say things. And it was for one of the comments I got where a young man was just saying, kind of along the lines of getting kind of fired up about witchcraft. And I was thinking, I need to correct this. So I hope he's even hearing this. This is why we need to really be careful of things we speak. He may have heard that video that turned him on and doesn't hear this one. So we got to be careful about what we speak, because the odds of someone, we've got almost 3,000 videos here. I doubt any of you have listened to everyone. Do you know what? There is one person that has listened to every one of my videos. Wow. Thank you. That means the world to me that anyone would care that much. This person chooses to not interact in the comments. I talked to her through another social media where it's private and very doesn't trust the internet and things. Like she'll have an account and then she erases it and then comes back as something else. It's all right. I get it. Yes, Tinkum, the dogs are done with me talking now. Are you guys done with me talking now? I guess we can always make another video another day. You ready to go outside? All right. All right, guys. I love you. Can I pray over you guys? I want to pray, speaking of magic, the two most powerful spells of the Magi. I thought, you know what? I need to learn those in the original tongue. Shemvahu, of course, if you just break it down word for word, it doesn't come through. But if you read the ancient text, it tells you a Shemvahu, you're partnering with the all-good spirit when 1/3 is prayed. 2/3, you're partnering with the Magi that were, are, and shall be. And when the prayer is finished, you merge with all the magic spells that have ever been spoken or will be spoken by the Magi and good spirit himself, which we'll pray next. Yata'ahu is the prayer that God prays himself. And this prayer God prays, obviously he's not begging a deity higher than himself. My voice is starting to go. He's not making deals. He's decreeing and declaring truth that Asha is. So if you would like to partner with that all good spirit and the Magi, that God that's just good, I'm going to pray this and just agree with me. Hashem vahu vahestem esti usta amai yatashai vestai Hashem. Now say Asha is. All good spirit is. I receive you, all good God. All right, Yata'ahu. This is Asha actualized. This is that pure light. Let me get my mind right for just 1 second. I want to give it the respect it deserves. I got the dogs whining at me and I want my heart right. So I want you to see the light coming into you, the light that darkness cannot enter. I want you to see a love so pure coming into you and filling all that you are, that the low frequencies, the evil spirits cannot enter this love. Can you see that light? Yata'ahu vario, atara tush, ashat chitacha, vangush dazda manango, shatana mangush mazdai, sharthrem chaya hurai, ayimdre gubio ... Vosterem. Say with me, Magi, Asha is. Ooh. I felt that one. That felt good. That felt real good. And I feel I have some new brothers and sisters. Beautiful shining ones. Beautiful pure lights. Shine bright. We are going to remove that darkness. We're going to end the suffering. The original word, all good, comes from the Creator, and no evil comes from him. And from this original word, the spiritual world is made straight, and the material world comes into order. Asha is. Say it, Magi. Asha is. Asha is. Asha is. I love you.